There was fireworks last time these two teams faced off against each other. Will there be fireworks again tonight as the Devils and Jackets face off? Almost certainly. We unpack on today's Locked On Blue Jackets.
You're Locked On Blue Jackets, your daily podcast on the Columbus Blue Jackets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Blue Jackets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am, as always, your host, Jay Foster, here to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly about your favorite team and mine, the Columbus Blue Jackets. Before we get things started, I want to thank everyone for making this your first listen of the day every single day. Locked On Blue Jackets is free and available on all podcast platforms and over on YouTube as well. I also want to thank you for making us the #1 sports podcast network. Let's talk about the Devils. So I've got the Blue Jackets as well. But the Devils are in town tonight. Things got exciting, let's say, the last time these two teams faced off against each other. I suspect there will be some shenanigans tonight, although I don't know what those shenanigans will look like because Mathieu Olivier is obviously in the lineup tonight. So hopefully there will be a fight like 3 minutes into the game and then they'll be like, right, okay, and now we're done with it. Mathieu Olivier will beat up Stefan Nason and hopefully that'll put an end to it. I don't know. But the Blue Jackets have also added Mason Marchment to the lineup, and I'm sure he's going to be eager to get into some stuff. So I don't know. We'll see. But I want to talk about that. I want to talk about the Blue Jackets. We're going to be without a couple of key guys again tonight. And I want to talk about what's going on with the Devils, who are they're having a time at the minute. So let's start off with the little injury update from the Blue Jackets, which is that there isn't one, basically. No Werenski tonight, no Monahan tonight. Werenski skated with the team this morning, but is not ready to return yet. So I think probably they were just testing it out and making sure that you know, things are fine there, but he's not ready to play tonight. Hopefully back by Saturday, they said. And then no Monahan again tonight as well. So I don't know whether that's a day-to-day thing. I don't know whether that's, we're going to give him a couple of games and see if that helps anything. I don't know. But no Werenski, no Monahan. So it's going to be, I believe, the exact same lineup as against Ottawa, which was not the most thrilling lineup in the world. The top six I thought was only okay in terms of like generating offense and also not just letting Ottawa do what they want. But I think those lines have also had good games. I think, obviously Cole Sillinger had 2 assists, which is great for him. And he's kind of picked up the pace a little bit. But again, considering this was his first game that they threw him back into center after, I believe, playing basically the entire season at wing, I'm unsurprised that there was some flaws there. But I thought for the most part, it was a good game, a fun game. And I don't know what the Devils are going to come out with, but they've lost 4 games in a row, so I assume they're going to be mad. They are also probably going to be mad because of the whole Dmitry Voronkov, Brendan Dillon thing from last game, and also the Dmitry Voronkov, Stefan Nason thing from last game, and also the Adam Fantilli fight. I forgot about that. The Yoda Siegenthaler thing. So I'm expecting shenanigans. Again, I don't know what kind of shenanigans, and I suspect that Mathieu Olivier will be cruising pretty early, and we'll go from there. But the Devils need something from this game. The Blue Jackets also need something from this game, because what's interesting is the last time these two teams faced off against each other, the Devils were, I believe, basically at the top of the standings for the East. I'm pulling up the standings as of December 1st right now. So as of December 1st, the New Jersey Devils were second in the Metro with 33 points. Blue Jackets 4 points behind them, but also that made them 6th in the Metro. So there was a gap between them. Now there is a much bigger gap in terms of, well, not a bigger gap in terms of that, but a gap in terms of the Blue Jackets are now dead last in the East, and the New Jersey Devils are 7th in the Metro. And I believe, if I could do math real quick, 13th in the East. Blue Jackets only 2 points behind them. So a regulation win for the Blue Jackets tonight would put them ahead of the Devils. I believe it would also put them ahead of the Maple Leafs as well. So the Blue Jackets would jump all the way to being like 11th or 12th in the Metro in the East instead of being dead last in the East with a regulation win tonight. Regulation win is the key word there. So it's a real case of both teams have slid, but the Devils, I think, have slid a little bit harder. Like I said, they've lost 4 games in a row, and they haven't won in. They've got 3 regulation wins in their last 10 attempts. Blue Jackets have 3 regulation wins in their last 3 attempts. It's not been a great little while for the Devils, and they've lost teams that they should probably have beaten. Like, I'm thinking specifically of Toronto, who they played last night, which is helpful for the Blue Jackets. They were a victim of Buffalo in that winning streak that they're on. They lost to Vancouver as well, not in this current losing streak, but in the last 10 games, they've also lost to Vancouver. Now, I know the Blue Jackets have also lost to Vancouver, but these are games that you want to be winning if you're the Devils, right? Again, they've gone from being second or third. They were first in the Metro for a while, sliding all the way down to basically on par with the Blue Jackets, which is good news for the Blue Jackets. I think this is a desperate team right now. It's a team that is having some trouble scoring. It's a team that having some trouble keeping the puck out of the net. Now, the bad news is, let's talk goaltending. Sounds like the Blue Jackets are going to be facing Jake Allen tonight. Jacob Markstrom was in net last night for the Devils against the Leafs. That was a 4-0 loss. So another not great night from Markstrom, who's been not great all season. But Jake Allen has a .910 save percentage on the year and has been quite good for the Blue Jacket. For the Devils against the Blue Jackets. But sounds like the Blue Jackets are going with Jack Reeves again, as they should. And I have full confidence that he's going to be great. So it should be a fairly good goaltending battle. I think both goalies will be equally good. The trick is, have the Blue Jackets fully remembered how to score goals, or have they spent a lot of their goals in the last handful of games? They've gone from being 28-ish in the league in goals for per game to 21st, which is great. The Devils sitting at 27th right now, and the Blue Jackets have also increased from last in the league in goals against per game to 27th. So again, their metrics are improving. Despite not allowing a power play goal in the last couple of games, they have somehow gotten worse on the penalty kill, which I think means that other teams have just gotten better, which is fine, whatever. But power play is also sitting about the same as the Devils. This is a really well-matched team, actually. The Devils allow slightly fewer goals. The Blue Jackets score slightly more. But other than that, their power play is basically identical. Their penalty kill is basically identical. Their face-off percentage is basically identical. This should be an interesting game, especially because, as I said, I feel like the Blue Jackets are on the upswing and the Devils are on a little bit of a slide at the minute. So they want to stop that slide. They want to break this losing streak that they're on. The Blue Jackets want to continue their winning streak that they're on, and hopefully take another 2 points from a division and conference rival. It's another 4-point game, like what we were talking about yesterday. Blue Jackets have not won a ton of games against the Metropolitan Division this year, although in recent games they have gotten a little bit better. Like they have, I believe, they've got a win over the Islanders. They've got a win over the Senators as well in the last 2 games. I know that the Senators are not a Metro opponent, but they are an Eastern opponent, and these are the games the Blue Jackets need to be taking points from, because these are teams that they could be battling with the wild card spot for, right? They've also picked it up in terms of regulation wins. Like, they've still got the least regulation wins, I believe, in the league, which is not great considering they've got more wins than like 4 or 5 teams in the East specifically. But they are a team that is really needs to pick up the regulation win pace, and obviously those last 3 games help. They're finally at double digits with that. But it'll be good to get another one both for the tiebreaker reasons and also to stop the Devils from taking at least 1 point and possibly 2. Blue Jackets want both points. They want both points all night, but this to me feels like a really good opportunity to gain some standings ground. They've been keeping pace the last couple of games. They've been picking it up, but unfortunately the East keeps winning because the East is stupid this year. Again, the Blue Jackets have a 526 point percentage and are dead last in the league. Now, if you sort by points percentage, the Bruins and the Rangers are actually a worse team than them because they've played way more games. And when I have way more games, the Bruins have got 2 games more than the Blue Jackets. The Rangers have played 3 more. So the Blue Jackets have got games in hand over these teams. But it's still very, very tight, right? Like the lowest point percentage in the East is 524, and that's the Rangers. The lowest points percentage in the West is 449, and that's owned by 2 teams. There are 6 teams, that are under 500 in the West. I know that I keep harping on this, but I kind of can't believe how bad the West is this year and how good the East is. Truly a really, really annoying division to be in. And also the Metro is also a really good division. As evidenced by it's slipped recently, but there was a time when all 8 Metro teams were ahead of the bottom 5 Atlantic Division teams. Obviously, it's spread out a little bit now, but wild, truly wild. Let's talk specifics about this game. Let's talk about who needs to show up for the Blue Jackets. Let's talk about who they need to watch out for in terms of the Devils. We'll do all of that in just a second here at Locked On Blue Jackets. First, I'm going to tell you about FanDuel. Fridays feel different during basketball season, right? And FanDuel is making them even better. Every Friday night before the games tip off, FanDuel is going to give fans a way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour. It's your official pregame, a limited time window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action starts. Fridays from 6 to 7:30 Eastern have become appointment viewing with NBA Happy Hour. If you open during that time, you're going to get boosts, bonuses, surprises. It's super easy to check that weekly special before tip-off, make a move before the window closes, and the timing is perfect, right? It's right before the games, it's right before the weekend starts, and it adds a little bit of extra energy to that Friday night basketball without overthinking it. So, before tip-off, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. A little basketball, a little action, whole lot of Friday energy. That's NBA Happy Hour only on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jackets. Let's talk about players that need to show up for the Blue Jackets, players that have been showing up for the Blue Jackets, and also players for the Devils who are, again, kind of struggling at the minute, but there are still a lot of very dangerous players on this team, right? Like, I believe the last time these 2 teams faced each other, Jack Hughes wasn't in the lineup. He's back now. I don't think he's 100%, but still, he's a point-a-game player. He's got 21 points in 21 games so far this season. Hasn't had a point. He had a goal in his return on December 21st. Doesn't have a point since then. But the Devils also have, guys like Jesper Bratt. They've got guys like Nico Hischier, who is doing a lot of really heavy lifting for this team this season, especially with Jack Hughes being out for 15 games. And then on the back end, obviously Luke Hughes is getting the points, and Simon Nemec as well has turned into quite a responsible defenseman. So they've got good pieces. They've got a lot of good young pieces. They're just not clicking together for whatever reason. But I still think it would be silly to be like, well, this team is struggling, but so we could just write them off, right? Someone on YouTube, I think the other day was like, no, there is no such thing as a trap game when you're at the bottom of the East. And I'm like, I feel like if you go into a game thinking that it's going to be easy, then that's a trap game. The Devils are spiraling right now. They're not getting the goal scoring. They're not really getting the goaltending. So this feels like a game. Again, it's going to be probably pretty emotional, I think, based on the shenanigans that happened last game. It sounds like Brendan Dillon is going to be playing. I assume that Stefan Nason is going to be playing. He played last night, so yeah. For some reason, I thought he'd been injured, but apparently not. But in terms of who's showed up on the scoreboard for them recently, in the last 5 games, Nico Hischier's got 4 points. Jesper Bratt's got 2 goals. So things have been hard to come by for the Devils recently. if their leading scorer through the last 5 games has only got 4 points, and that's Nico Hischier, who all 4 of them assists, right? On the flip side, shockingly, Damon Severson has 6 points in his last 5 games. I think that's because he's just assisted on every Mason Marshman goal, and also scored a ripper of his own against the Senators as well. Kromachenko's got 4 goals in his last 5 games. He's obviously a guy to watch as well. Has decided that he's done with not scoring goals and has started scoring goals again. 30 points in 34 games for Kromachenko. So still a little ways to go to get back to that point-a-game pace that he was on before he hit this streak. But he's making up for lost time, I think. Another guy that I want to keep an eye out for is Denton Matejchuk. Obviously, with Werenski out, Denton Matejchuk has been assuming a lot of those top D roles, those number 1 defenseman roles. Obviously, he's playing on the top power play unit. He's playing a ton of ice time. He's been leading the team in ice time, I think, for 2 out of the 3 games that they've had no Werenski. And the game that he didn't, he was like right up there with Provorov, who I think got the edge because of penalty kill time, if I'm not mistaken. But really, really great game out of Denton Matejchuk the past handful of games. Like he's been fantastic. There is one lineup move actually that I forgot to mention. I know that I said it's going to be the exact same lineup. It's not. Brendan Smith is out tonight. Dyson Mayo will sub in for him. I probably would have liked to see one of the kids get called up, but they probably just want someone that they can play for. Dyson Mayo's played 1 game for the Blue Jackets so far, and played 7.5 minutes in that game. So, like, my guess is they just want to plug someone into the lineup for the 8 minutes that the top 4 won't be on the ice. Which again, I don't think is the best way to run a defense, because I think you should probably be able to play your third pairing for more than 10 minutes. Which, if you look at the 3 guys that have mostly been rotating in that third pairing recently, Brendan Smith is playing 11:05, Jake Christensen 10:24, and Dyson Mayo 7:33. Dante Fabre's picked it up. He's all the way up to 16.5. But he gets PK time, and also again with Werenski out, he's stepped up. And I haven't hated that pairing with Provorov either. Matejchuk Severson has been excellent, as I think I kind of suspected, because I liked those 2 guys together earlier this season, and also last season. But Provorov and Fabro has been quite pleasantly not a car crash, which I am pleased with. Anyway, I don't think that this lineup change is going to really move the needle. Again, Jake Christensen will play about 10 minutes. Dyson Mayo will play probably less than that. I know that people haven't been super impressed with Brendan Smith in his very limited minutes so far this season. But again, it's your third defense pairing, right? Like, it's like quibbling about your 4th line. So overall, I feel pretty good about this game, which is probably a sign that things are going to go wrong, right? I had a bad feeling about the Kings game. I had a bad feeling about the Islanders game, and a bad feeling about the Senators game. But I feel pretty good about this game. So maybe we'll just do toxic positivity and go from there, right? Predictions? Let's do predictions. Every day, as you know the drill, get your predictions in the comments on YouTube or over on Twitter. I will remember to post on Twitter this time, I promise. If you're new here, we're playing a game this season where we are predicting a Blue Jackets anytime goal scorer and the final score of the game. If you get both of those right, you get 3 points. If you get one of them right, you get 1 point. If you predict an overtime or a shootout game correctly, then you also get a bonus point on top of that as well. I'm very bad at this game, but it turns out that it's a very hard game, so I feel less bad. About 40 games in, I think I'm hovering near the top of the standings. I need to do a standings update at some point, but my prediction is going to be, it feels kind of like cheating to pick a Marchenko goal, although I believe last game I did pick up a Matejchuk goal instead of a Marchenko goal, so I feel pretty good about that. But I am going to say, you know who I'm gonna pick for a goal? I think we're gonna see a Charlie Coyle goal tonight. He hasn't scored in a minute. Obviously, he's been putting up the points. 24 points in 38 games or whatever it is, but hasn't scored since December 13th versus Vegas. So I think we're gonna get. I have a feeling about a Charlie Coyle goal tonight that I feel pretty good about. So that's my prediction for the goal. Final score, I think it's going to be a close game. and a low scoring game. I think Jet Greaves is a good goalie. I think Jake Allen has been playing very well. So let's say a 3-2 final score for the Blue Jackets. That feels respectable to me. And a Charlie Coyle goal. Why not? Let's have fun with it. 3-2 in regulation, because I'm going to manifest that they need to start winning in regulation or keep winning in regulation with a Charlie Coyle goal. That's my prediction. Final answer. Thank you for listening to this episode. Making your first listen of the day every single day. We are continually free on every podcasting app. We are over on YouTube. If you would like to give me $5 a month and not get ads on your podcast, and also access to a members exclusive Discord, and also I believe there is a merch shop link floating around somewhere for all of you wonderful people. Go to lockedonbluejackets.supercast.com and sign up for the Everydayers Club. Like I said, it's $5 a month or it's $50 a year, and you get all of these perks, which I think is pretty neat. So if you want to do that, please go ahead and do that. And otherwise, I'll be back tomorrow. First episode of 2026. We'll be breaking down tonight's game, the good, the bad, and the ugly. You know the drill. You can find me on Blue Sky at JAKOBFORSTER. You can find the show at LO_Blue Jackets on Twitter and LO-Blue Jackets on Blue Sky. Thank you once again for listening. LockedOnBlueJackets.supercast.com for the Everydayers Club. Thank you for making us the #1 sports podcast network. And until tomorrow, make sure you stay locked on.